I want you to think of what oppression of women looks like. You probably thought of this, right? Now look at this. Both of these are oppression. So I was watching CID the other day and I noticed something weird. The female actors all had layers of makeup on. The men, on the other hand, looked completely natural. No makeup was used to hide their wrinkles, pimples, dark circles. And now, every time I watch a TV show or movie, I notice how this holds true in almost everything. It's so normal for us to see men looking natural, in their natural skin. They probably do use some amount of makeup, but it's not used to hide their natural features. Actresses, on the other hand, are made to change the way they look completely. How they look on screen is not the same as how they look off screen. This isn't just true for movies. Think about your real life, your parents, the adults in your social circle. How many men around you use face wash and moisturizer? How many of them wax their legs, thread their eyebrows? How many of them use pain or discomfort to achieve beauty? Pain like ripping off the hair from their body, getting their nose or ears pierced. I know what you're thinking. I literally have a full face of makeup on and I have a nose piercing. So, how can I talk like this? Well, that's what we're going to do in this video. We're going to have a psychological discussion on our needs and motivations to explain the beauty standards that exist for men versus women in our society. The first time I learned about beauty being pain for women was when I was a teenager. Actually, no, I think the first time was when my parents got my ear pierced and I was literally a child at that point. But moving past that, when I was a teenager, I realized that I had very hairy legs. I have thick hair on my head and it's the same for the rest of my body. I have a lot of hair. I remember one of my classmates jokingly calling me a hairy bear. It was a joke, but I think it really affected me. So I came home and told my mother that I want to get waxed. She told me that I was too young to get waxed and she said no. But I felt so insecure that I googled how to remove hair without waxing and shaving because she wouldn't allow me to do that. And I realized that if you use a pumice stone to exfoliate, the hair also comes off. So I rubbed it all over my legs for like 2 hours. And surely it removed the hair, it like pulled it out, and my legs were left smooth, but they were also full of red scratches because it literally scratched up my whole legs and it was stinging a lot. But I was happy because finally my legs were not hairy. And sure, there were a lot of red scratches, but they were less painful than hearing comments like hairy bear. Now you might think, wow, she was so weak as a kid. How could she just let one comment affect her? But it wasn't just one comment. You see, we get social cues from our environment on what's good and bad. Social cues are signals that teach us how to behave in the society. Whenever I watched movies growing up, I never saw any women with hair on their legs or hair in their underarms. Nor did I see any woman around me with hair on their body. When I used to go swimming in the pool, I would never see any woman with hairy legs. The funniest thing was that even hair removal ads never used to show hair on women's bodies while showing us how to remove the hair. Like they were literally waxing and shaving hairless legs. Who knows what they were removing in those ads? It was definitely not hair. Hair on my legs felt wrong and unnatural to me because it wasn't normal. It was normal to not have hair as a woman. I was extremely conscious while growing up about the hair on my body. I would continuously think about it and spend hours feeling bad about it. Once I got older, my parents gave me permission to get the hair removed by waxing and threading, and I started doing that. It used to hurt so bad, and they would put boiling hot wax on my legs. It was not a pleasant experience at all. Trust me, I absolutely hated it, but I loved the results. I spent so much time of my life and money making sure that I'm hairless. And that's what all the girls of my age were doing. We were all in school, we were all teenagers, but they were all getting their upper lips threaded. They had already normalized beauty being painful. And so had I. On the other hand, take a teenage boy. He would have grown up seeing the men around him being very hairy. So he didn't even consider spending time or money to remove the hair on his legs. Sure, once he started growing facial hair, he had to make the decision to remove it or keep a beard. But there was no such compulsion to get his face waxed. He could shave it if he wanted to, but he could also choose to keep a beard. I was not given this choice by my environment. If I decided one day that I don't want to remove any hair on my face or my body, my environment would make sure that I feel extremely uncomfortable about this choice. People would probably make comments and point it out. They might even say that I'm being unhygienic and I'm being dirty by not removing the hair. But somehow, a man having body hair is normal and hygienic. If you think about how an ideal woman should look, and pay attention to what the idealness is, you'll realize that women are taught to see pain and discomfort as beautiful. Long hair is considered beautiful for women, but men are told to have short hair. There is no biological difference between the two. Both of these parties can grow long hair, by the way. Have you ever maintained long hair? Do you know how difficult it is? And you have to keep brushing it, keep tying it. You have to invest in a good brush, a comb, hair ties, hair bands, clips. So much shampoo is used, it gets in the way of everything. Simple things like wearing a t shirt. When you wear a t shirt as a woman, the hair gets stuck in the back and then you have to pull it out like this. It's so normal when you have long hair that you don't even notice that this is a small discomfort that you go through. For a man with short hair, on the other hand, it's really easy. He doesn't even have to brush it. Most men don't even buy brushes. I used to have really long hair. Once I grew a little older, I decided to cut it short the way it is right now. I got so many negative cues from the environment. My friends were like, "Why did you cut your hair? It was so beautiful." I had to take permission from my parents to cut my hair, and they were not really happy about it. Everyone was questioning why I decided to cut my hair, that I would somehow be less beautiful if I cut my hair. But I decided to ignore all of them and get my hair cut short, and I never went back to long hair because of how uncomfortable and irritating it was. Now you must be thinking, how was she able to just ignore the social cues from her environment this time, but she continues to remove the hair from her body? Probably because I do see a lot of women around me having short hair, even though this beauty standard exists that women should have long hair. But it is very uncommon to see women with body hair as compared to women with short hair. There is this idea that women should value beauty over comfort. And this isn't just a personal problem. It seeps into the clothing industry as well. Most women's clothing does not have pockets because apparently pockets ruin the shape of the dresses and the pants. Even the dress that I'm wearing right now, it does not have any pockets. Women are also usually expected to wear slightly tighter clothes than men, and tight clothes have no space for pockets. So, women have to carry all of their stuff, their keys, tissue paper, money, in handbags. That results in women having an entire side of their body continuously uncomfortable. It's occupied with managing the bag whenever they're outside. There is this level of discomfort on that side of their body at all times. They also can't be fully aware of what's going on in the present moment because they have to pay attention to their bag as well. Having a bag makes them more prone to theft and snatching. If you think about the fashion standards of bags when it comes to women versus men, men usually carry backpacks which are more secure, because there are two straps. Women, on the other hand, are expected to carry shoulder bags or handbags. They're seen as more fashionable for women, and men don't carry shoulder bags. And sure, nobody's stopping women from carrying backpacks, but it is seen as more fashionable and pretty for a woman to carry a shoulder bag, which is why older women, especially the ones that you see on the road, wouldn't really be carrying backpacks. You would see them carrying shoulder bags. It's because of this standard of fashion. So, once again, here women are conditioned to value fashion/beauty over security. So, logically speaking, women's clothes should have pockets because it's more functional and safe. But no, their clothes have to be in a beautiful shape. In the Indian context as well, you'll see a lot of women who wear Indian clothes like suits and saris. They literally have to put their money in their bra because they don't have a pocket. That is the only place they believe is safe for their money. We often think about our grandmothers and how they used to do that, and we look at it with nostalgia. But if you think about it, it's actually ridiculous that they didn't have pockets and were forced to put their money in their bras. Men, on the other hand, have huge pockets because the functionality of their clothes is more important than their beauty. And I know that this is not a small problem because have you ever seen a woman find a dress which had huge pockets? The amount of happiness a woman feels having pockets is ridiculous. It's not funny, it's sad that we're deprived of something so basic. I used to think it was my choice. I just like having smooth, hairless legs. I like wearing lipstick. I like to pamper myself going to the parlor and spend hours and money on it. I like to spend time and effort on my beauty. But I saw this and I started wondering, do I even like it? Because what if one day I don't want to do it? Will the society let me? Or will I feel extremely uncomfortable for not doing all of these things because they're going to make me feel like I'm not enough or I'm doing something wrong by not removing my hair or not putting makeup? Are these beauty rituals even my choice? Do I enjoy doing all of these things or have I been told that I'm supposed to enjoy them? I wasn't born thinking that, oh, I'm going to grow up and remove the hair from my body. Somewhere along the way during my childhood, I was conditioned to feel this way. I no longer think it is my choice. Because one day, if I decide to stop wearing makeup when I go to social events, or I decide to stop removing my body hair, or stop taking care of my skin and have flaky, dry skin, I would get punished from my environment. Women have to look good to be accepted by the society. But men don't. A man can exist with wrinkles, dark circles, nose hair, unibrows, and nobody will bat an eyelid. But if a woman does that, oh my god, she might not even get a job as compared to a woman who is taking care of her beauty. Just imagine a woman wearing a formal skirt with extremely hairy legs, a unibrow, and upper lip hair. The person who is interviewing her will feel uncomfortable looking at her that way. On the other hand, if the same woman had smooth legs, got her eyebrows done, was wearing decent makeup, she would leave a good impression on the interviewer. But if a man had all of those things, it wouldn't matter because there is no other standard for them. It's just that, to be natural. So, am I saying that men don't have a beauty standard and that it only exists for women? No, there are beauty standards for men, but they're different and more flexible than that of women. There is somewhat a beauty standard for men to keep beards because apparently beards are seen as manly. You see, that's a comfortable beauty standard. You literally have to do less to maintain a beard as compared to shaving your whole face every day. Being clean shaven, which is not the beauty standard for men, is more difficult and uncomfortable and takes more time and effort as compared to the beauty standard for men, which is to have a beard and just exist with hair on your face. In fact, when men look too maintained, they're made fun of. They're called gay and feminine as if that's an insult. If a man tells his friends that he's going to get a pedicure, his friends will laugh at him. Because a man being uncomfortable for beauty, that's unheard of. Also, if men don't like their facial hair, they just shave it off. Somehow, waxing their face is not even presented to them as an option. Why? Because it's painful and uncomfortable. On the other hand, women who have facial hair have to thread and wax it. And no, don't come at me with women have softer hair so it's easier to thread it and whatever. All of that is just nonsense. By this logic, men should be waxing their facial hair so that their hair follicles become thinner. Now, there is a common beauty standard for both the genders, which is being thin. But even in this beauty standard, there is hidden patriarchy. You see, men are expected to look muscular and strong. Women, on the other hand, are expected to look almost weak, delicate. If they grow muscles, people laugh at them. Being weak is literally a body standard for women. There is also a beauty standard that men should be tall and women should be shorter than them. Women who are very tall are seen as manly and shamed for their height. Even in this, if you think about it, a taller person is seen as a strong person who can protect the shorter one, and that is why men are expected to be tall. Because women are weak and need their protection. Men are the protectors of the society. Think about weddings. Women go through so many beauty treatments before they get married. Waxing, threading, makeup artists finding hairstylists. Some women even get IV fluids to change the color of their skin. They go for multiple shopping trips to find the perfect outfits. Some of the women look like a completely different person on their wedding. The man, on the other hand, just shows up. He might shave, he might not shave. It depends on his mood. If you think about it, this holds true for people belonging to all social groups. Brides always end up having to put in a lot of effort in the way they look as compared to the men. There are so many women who literally leave their jobs before they get married because they have to take time to prepare for the wedding. Because the wedding preparation for a woman takes so much time and effort that you can't possibly manage a job with it. Men, on the other hand, usually don't leave their jobs just because they're getting married because it doesn't take that much effort for them to prepare for the wedding. Men don't have to wear heels to look pretty. They don't have to get nail extensions to have beautiful hands. They don't have to wear thongs so their panty lines don't show through their shorts. Nor do they have to wear testicle push up bras to make their balls look perky. Every single part of a woman's body has a beauty standard if you think about it. But this is not a thing for men. And that is why plastic surgery for women is more common than it is for men. The irony is that the society has made these beauty standards for women, and then the same society mocks women for following the same beauty standards. You know that joke, my wife takes so many hours to get ready, or women spend so much money and time on makeup, Or that other statement that people pass, that women are better when they're natural and they look more beautiful without makeup. No, you don't want natural women. Natural women have frizzy hair, they have white hair, they have wrinkles, they have dark circles. All of those very normal body things. You don't want a natural woman, you want a woman who has a no makeup look. You want women to suffer, but want their suffering to look effortless. Their discomfort should be quiet. All of these beauty standards are literally propaganda for women to normalize pain in their life. Why? Because men profit off of women's unseen labor and pain. A woman working really hard in the kitchen, sweating, struggling to manage all the food, that's painful. But we glorify that and say that it's so beautiful that she wants to take care of her family and make a good meal for them. A woman giving birth to her child and then going straight to household chores right after having a baby, that is painful. But the society sees that as strength and beauty of a woman. It's seen as her love and devotion for her family. While men just chill. They put their foot down and they say, I can't cook, I can't clean, I can't clean the child's diaper, I can't feed our child, it's your job. He says that because he's not used to pain and discomfort, unlike the woman who has been taught to normalize it. And yet, women are somehow seen as weak and men are seen as strong. Men can't even get their chest waxed without howling in pain. I'm sure you've seen those type of videos, where as a funny event, they wax a man to see his reaction. Women, on the other hand, when they get waxed, they don't howl because it's normalized for them. They've been doing it for years. It's silent pain that they can't complain about. Or they'll be seen as the nagging, attention seeking woman. Recently, I attended this event where there was a roundtable discussion with representatives from all the social media apps, and there were lawyers, policymakers, people like that. And we were talking about the whole creator economy and the systems that exist in it. And I brought up the point that women are abused on the internet, and it's quite difficult as a female creator to exist on the internet because people can just call them anything and get away with it. And I made this video of me being called Rundy and reclaiming the word because what else can I do, right? And there was another person who had made a video on this video reacting to it. And in the comment section, I saw one person who was a woman and a lawyer who had been in that roundtable conference. And she was commenting and saying that I was being really attention seeking at the roundtable conference because how dare I talk about the abuse women face on the internet. Yeah, that's the whole point. I want to be attention seeking about it because no attention is given to this matter, which is why it is okay to abuse women on the internet. So you see, me bringing attention to a painful experience for women is seen as attention seeking because the norm is to just quietly accept it, to accept pain, abuse, difficult situations as a woman. Moving on. Recently, I started feeling very weird about putting makeup. My relationship with makeup started as a kid. I would see my mother putting kajal every time she went out, kajal on the inner rim of her eyes. Sometimes she wouldn't put it, but I would see that she would get comments from other people like, you're looking unwell, you look like you've been crying, you don't look normal, are you okay? Because apparently, looking natural and looking like yourself makes you look unwell or sad. Then I grew up and I also started putting kajal because it was normalized for me. And the same thing happened to me. When I wouldn't put it, people would ask me the very same questions. I only used to put kajal and lip gloss when I was younger. But 5 years ago, I started making content. And that led to me getting exposed to the general public. And the general public does not care. They say whatever comes to their mind. So they started pointing out my dark circles. I have had dark circles all my life because the skin under my eyes is quite thin compared to the rest of my face, and the shape of my eyeballs are such that it looks like I have dark circles. I don't have any medical problems. No doctor has ever told me that there's something wrong with me having these dark circles. Basically, there's nothing bad about it and nothing that I have to change. It's just how my under eyes are. But the comments about my dark circles made me feel so bad that I went and bought concealer for the first time in my life. I started putting it to hide my dark circles, something that I'd been completely fine with. So you see, me not meeting the beauty standard being not having dark circles, led to people actually making comments about things that were nothing to do with the topic of my videos. They stopped paying attention to what I was talking about. My video could be about unhealthy parenting, about relationship problems, but the only thing they would comment on would be my dark circles. This isn't just my personal experience. If you open any comment section of any female creator, you'll see people commenting on their bodies. If a woman is slightly overweight or even even very overweight, or has hair on her arms or underarms, or just doesn't look like the beauty standard, and is talking about something entirely different in her video, people will still make comments about the way she looks. They will stray away from the topic of a video and make it about her looks. I think that's what got to me and made me buy concealer. I wanted to meet the beauty standard so people would take me more seriously and pay attention to the topic of the video rather than how I'm looking. After I bought concealer, I was like, oh, let me also buy eyeshadow. And then I discovered that I love doing colorful eyeshadow looks. And this was not to hide any insecurity, it was just like painting for me. Now, when I make videos, I get compliments about my eyeshadow looks. Again, regardless of the video topic, people will still comment on my eyeshadow. So, even when I'm putting makeup, the more important thing in the video is how I'm looking rather than the things I'm talking about for some people. So then I started thinking, am I putting makeup in my videos for people to take me seriously? Isn't that me literally going according to what the society wants? A man can make videos with no makeup, not brushing his hair, not even washing his face, and people will not comment on how he's looking. They'll take him more seriously. In fact, I can name so many male YouTubers who look like they've just gotten out of bed and started talking. But there is not a single comment about how they're looking in their videos. So, does that mean I'm feeding the very patriarchy that I'm criticizing by putting makeup to make people happy? I went through this whole thing and I decided that maybe I'll just stop putting makeup for my videos. I tried doing that, but I still couldn't get myself to not wear kajal. I would put just a little bit of it, but I still did it because it's just so normalized in my head to wear kajal. It feels illegal to not wear it when I'm doing something where I have to meet the public. Anyway, so I stopped putting concealer and eyeshadow and everything else in my videos. And yeah, the oh my god, you have dark circles comments came back. Once I put a selfie on my stories where I was wearing eyeliner, but I didn't put any concealer because I didn't feel because like I'm really against concealer currently. But at the same time, I'm not because I'm wearing it right now. But I don't like wearing it. Anyway, after a while of not wearing makeup, I realized that I miss doing eyeshadow looks. Like, I enjoyed wearing colorful eyeshadow. So then I got really confused. Is all makeup bad? Is it always oppression? Am I wearing makeup to make people happy and then not wearing makeup to make myself happy, but also not being happy in the process because I do want to wear makeup? But do I want to wear makeup because of the people or because I like it? You're probably watching this and going like, why is she yapping so much? She can just stop wearing makeup. She can just stop going to the parlor, stop getting her hair removed. It's not that difficult. Actually, it is quite difficult. It's not that easy to bring change when all the social cues around you encourage you to do a certain behavior. All the social cues around me normalize pain and discomfort for women. It is not that easy to just walk away from it. That's why people are unable to walk away from abusive relationships as well. There's this concept in psychology called learned helplessness. It's a psychological state where an individual feels powerless to change their situation after repeated experiences with uncontrollable negative events, leading them to stop trying to escape or improve their circumstances even when opportunities arise. And I think that best describes this situation. The problem isn't in the beauty rituals in itself, but it's the fact that they're almost compulsory for women. Just think about it. This eyeliner, it's just black paint. It's not good or bad. The way the society uses it as a tool is what makes it good or bad. I don't think it's possible for me to know if I'm putting makeup and doing beauty rituals for myself or for the society. But it is important for us to acknowledge the fact that maybe our choices aren't as free as we think they are. Even as a strong, loud feminist, I am still making patriarchal choices for myself. Some of them I can't let go of because of the amount of internalized misogyny in me, just like everyone else. I am also a victim of internalized misogyny. I'm a victim because it harms me, it makes me suffer. I am not gaining anything from all of this. The only thing I'm gaining is safety and less harm from the society. It doesn't matter if I am a feminist and I'm making the choice of wearing makeup. It doesn't take away from the fact that makeup is used as a tool of oppression. The only thing I can do is probably think about how patriarchy affects my daily life and try to let go of the things that I can let go of. Let go of the things that are harming me. It's not possible for me to let go of all of them because letting go of them might lead to harm towards me from the society. For instance, if I stop shaving my underarms and start making videos where you can very clearly see my underarm hair, the comment section will just be about my underarms. It will not be about the topic that I'm talking about. That is harm because that is taking away from what I am saying. That is my voice not being heard. So, no, the solution isn't just to tell me or other women to just stop doing these things, nor is it to make fun of women who do these things and are hyper feminine. The solution is to create an environment to make sure they have the support in case they choose not to do those things. At the end of the day, an individual cannot change the system. It will only change when we have these conversations about how patriarchy is deeply intertwined with our life and how the patriarchal system leaves such a deep psychological impact on us that we're not able to walk away from things that are harming us. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.